Welcome to Faith-Filled Investing, the podcast where faith and real estate intersect. Join host Owen Cooper as he interviews real estate investors who are also strong believers in Jesus. Get inspired by their stories and discover how they live out their faith in the workplace. Learn practical tips and strategies for successful real estate investing. Whether you're a seasoned investor or exploring alternative ways to grow your wealth, this podcast will motivate, educate, and connect you with like-minded Christians in the real estate industry. Tune in to Faith-Filled Investing and join the movement of faith-driven real estate investors.
Welcome to Faith-Filled Investing. I'm your host, Owen Cooper. This week, we're going to be hearing from Wendy Sweet. We're going to learn about her faith journey, her real estate journey, and how these two things have intersected. So Wendy, it's so great to have you here. Just before I hit the record button, we've been having an amazing conversation already, and I apologize to everyone that we didn't record it because you already missed some gold, but I trust that God's going to do even more in this conversation. So Wendy, this is so up to date. I think this is my 5th podcast recording, pretty fresh on, and I started with people that I knew pretty well and some history, but we don't have a lot of relational history. So just tell me, in your version, how we've connected and how we got into each other's world.
Well, I received a message from you, which I was thrilled to get, that you were doing this kind of a podcast. And I received that through my group called Sunrisers. Sunrisers is a faith-based real estate investor group. We are believers who happen to do real estate. We actually started meeting, and Sunrisers is spelled S-O-N, for the sun.
Yeah.
So I started Sunrisers back in 2001 when I was going to someone else's group called Sunrisers for breakfast. It was a breakfast meeting in Charlotte. And every time I left there, I felt like I had to take a shower. It was just not what you would want to learn. They weren't teaching the proper way to treat people when you're in real estate. So I happened to be sitting at a table with some other believers. And we thought, hey, let's start our own. We can base it on God. Yeah, we can do that. So we did that and have been meeting every Friday morning at 7:30 a.m. since 2001. And COVID, hit. We've been meeting for breakfast. Maybe 40 people were showing up. We've been meeting for breakfast and COVID hit. And all of a sudden we can't meet for breakfast anymore. So once we weren't meeting for breakfast anymore, I'm thinking, oh no, what are we going to be able to do? So, this thing called Zoom was out and we started Zoom locally and would maybe have 40 people on there if it was a good day. Because some people didn't like Zoom. But then I realized, thank you, God, because I'm a member of all these masterminds. And now that I'm on Zoom, it doesn't matter where these incredibly smart real estate believers live. I can have anybody come on here and talk. And it's just grown since then. We've got people from Hawaii and Colorado, Oregon, Virginia, Texas, Florida, all over the Carolinas, and I'm based in Charlotte, or outside of Charlotte. Mississippi is another one that we get a lot of people from. It's just amazing. It's amazing the amount of people that are on the call now. And where it's evolved from, which I really love too, is it's gone from being, a 10-minute devotional, 5-minute market update to maybe about 45 minutes, someone would talk about real estate. Now, sometimes the devotional is the whole time. Jesus just completely takes over, which is super cool. We let the Holy Spirit rule it. So sometimes it's the devotional the whole time. Sometimes the devotional will be 45 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever might come up. We do marketing. Then we talk a little bit about real estate. So really we're people who are believers that happen to do real estate.
All right, so you just got done telling your story and about Sunrisers and how that came to be. And so here I am in Wisconsin, and part of that, like expand that network. I don't even remember how I found it, but similar. I was looking for in the real estate space and business space. There's a ton of spiritual talk, people talking, spiritual things and your higher power and find the power within yourself, but not a lot of Jesus. And I heard your group, and I was like, oh, I want to check that out sometime. And it took me a few months before I did. But when the first time I went to it, I was like, wow, they're sharing a devotional. They're using scripture. They're talking about Jesus and the gospel. And I was just so hooked. And so I thought I'd just check it out once in a while when I could. And then I found myself being a fairly regular attender and just being so encouraged. And anyway, so thank you for starting that group up and being faithful for 23 years since you
Yeah,
started
yeah.
it.
It's been amazing. In fact, we went over 100, and I had to upgrade my membership to Zoom. So I was really excited about that too.
That's awesome.
And
I was on that call. I remember when someone said, just need a couple more. And then you said people were getting bounced out. And
yeah,
it was like, wow, that's pretty exciting. That's
yeah,
pretty,
that it was really neat. Were you on Good Friday by any chance?
yeah, it might have been, I don't know if that was that Good Friday day but I was on Good Friday. Yeah.
Good when the devotional that day. It's powerful every day, but
Yeah.
that day was just out of this world, incredible. It
Yeah.
was really good, and the replays are on YouTube. Like, you can go to YouTube and put in YouTube / at Sunrisers, SON is
Hmm.
how that's spelled, and you can see all the recordings from it. It's pretty cool.
Great. Good. So hopefully you'll get an even bigger audience now from, all the people on this podcast. They'll hear it and they'll be growing. So that's really
That'd be
cool.
great. We'd love
So,
to have them.
so that's how we got connected originally. So tell me a little bit about your faith history. Did you grow up in a church? How long have you been walking with Jesus? What's that look like for you?
I did. We were raised Lutheran. I have 5 siblings, and of course my parents, and we went to church mm, every other Sunday. We were the family that prayed every Easter and Christmas, and Thanksgiving, and we never talked um, about having a relationship with Christ. We
Mm,
never. It just wasn't a discussion in our family.
yeah.
And as Lutherans, and I'm not dogging denominations, but as Lutherans, stand up, sit down, come up, eat this, go back, sit down. Very formal,
Mm,
kind of thing. Loved our church. We were involved in Sunday school, went on youth group trips and all that kind of stuff. But I never got it until I
mm,
was 37 years old, when
mm,
I realized it, like, dawned on me, like, oh my, this is about a relationship between Jesus and me, and
mhm.
nobody else. It's just us two. And like, I can talk right to him, and he's right here.
Yeah.
And boy, I got a lot of time to catch up with. so so I got baptized again. I
Mm,
was in a non-denominational church, and I met my husband at
mm,
church, and we ended up getting married, and had 3 kids. A couple years later, I was 40 when I had my first kid, so started a little
ah,
bit late on that.
ah,
Um, got into the real estate business by way of being a mortgage person, a mortgage
mm,
broker.
okay.
So I started working with this one guy by the name of Larry Goins, who's pretty much a guru in the real estate industry.
Mm,
And I was a mortgage broker in his company. I went to my first Real Estate Investor Association meeting. I didn't know that they even existed. And I learned how to do the most difficult loans that are out there, which are investor loans. The owner occupied
mm,
loans are easy, but investor loans,
okay.
there's so much more paperwork. And I was good at those. So I knew that if I could go to those meetings, it'd be like shooting fish in a barrel because there weren't any other mortgage brokers in there, and
Uh-huh.
did so well the first month I went in there that Larry Goins actually gave me half of his company,
Oh, wow.
which I was thrilled that, that he would do such a thing. But, I brought back 30 loans in 1 month, and he got rid of his other people and said, okay, here's our niche. This is what we're going to do. And we ended up growing that company. And I got to a point where I was doing hard money on the side. I would have these people that could qualify for loans because they had enough money and good credit score to qualify for loans, but they couldn't find houses. Then I had these other people that were great at finding houses, but they couldn't qualify for loans. So the people that had money, like money in their self-directed IRA, I started
Mm-hmm.
brokering that money back and forth to those people and lending money that way. I didn't even realize it was called hard money. I really did just fall into it. And actually, God placed me in it. So that business was going really well. And then in 2008, the crash hit, the real estate crash hit. I was, you know, really happy about what I thought was a great relationship with God. I was married. I've got 3 kids. They're in Christian private school. We just built a house on the lake. It was just, a great lifestyle for me. I, had a great credit score, had plenty of money in the bank. I had no debt. I was good. Then the crash hit, and overnight I was not good. We had nothing. Like it was, I could not give a loan away. And, I had these people counting on me to pay them a salary. And, I kept thinking, gosh, this can't last for very long. How much longer can this go on? Went through my IRA savings, all the other savings that I had, loaded up on credit cards, realized I had to put my house on the market,
Yeah.
and literally just had nothing. I'm going to my office and I'm thinking to myself, God, why are you letting this happen to me? These people are counting on me for their salaries because I'm their God, right? They're counting on me for their salaries, their livelihood. How can you allow this to happen to me? And I'm finally having to let them go, feeling terrible. Now I'm in debt. I had to pull my kids out of the private school. I'm late on my mortgage payment. It's on the market, but I'm late on my mortgage payment, and getting ready to go into foreclosure. Actually, I was 3 months late on my mortgage. I'm
Wow.
driving to the office because I finally shut it down. I'm going over the skinny 2-lane bridge, and there's a car coming right toward me, and he's not paying attention, and he's in my lane,
Mm.
and there's no place for me to go. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, man, this would take care of everything.
Wow.
This would solve it all. My insurance would pay off, house would be paid off, my husband wouldn't have to work, my kids would have their college paid for, they'd be set up. And then I heard that did not come from me.
Wow.
And then I got scared. Then I got scared because I realized that I was allowing Satan not only to whisper to me, but to holler to me, and I
Mm.
was listening.
Mm.
And the thing that really frightened me is that I realized how truly crippled my relationship was with Jesus.
Mm.
That I had turned my love for him and into a love of a really great credit score and
Mm.
money in the bank and my house on the lake and
Mm.
how good it looked that my kids were in this great private school. It was Christian based,
Mhm.
but it looked good.
Mhm.
Um, I I was just, my picture didn't look good anymore.
Mm.
And I thought, I need you. I need you, God. I need you more than anything right now. And that afternoon, I went home, and the guy didn't hit me, by the way. I'm still here. Um, but I went home and I told my husband, I'm going to seminary. You know,
Mm. Mm.
I we can't find jobs anywhere because he's in construction, and I'm in the mortgage business, and neither one of us are going to have any luck. We couldn't even get jobs at McDonald's. And our house had just gotten under contract, so we were able to sell it and left $300,000 on the table.
Oh
Like,
my
we walked
goodness.
away with nothing, but we were thrilled that we got to do that. Moved into one of our rental properties, got on Medicaid and food stamps because
Wow.
we had no money.
Mm,
And I signed up, went to seminary. It was the best thing that ever happened to us. Our marriage was just incredibly wonderful. How we pressed into God together,
mm,
and my kids got to watch God show out for 3
mm,
years. Like
mm.
like I can't explain how my income was $11,000 one year, one of those 3 years, yet we gave 12,500 to charity. You know, what kind of math is that? It's
It's
just it's
God
insane.
math.
We, were coming home from my oldest son, we were coming ho he was 9. He broke his arm, took him to the doctor, the Medicaid doctor, and
Yeah.
as we're coming back, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, neither one of us had eaten all day, we're starving. I said, "Okay, well, let's pull into Chick-fil-A, we'll split a sandwich," because I knew I couldn't afford 2. So we pulled into the drive-in, and, I ordered my 1 sandwich. I get up there, put up my debit card, and I could not afford 1 Chick-fil-A sandwich. Now, Chick-fil-A is pretty expensive now, but back then, it was about $2. I didn't have that in my, and I'm, like, so bummed, and I'm thinking, "Man, I just can't take this anymore. I'm so tired of being poor." I'm just devastated, and I get back on the interstate to go on home, and my son looks over at me, and he goes, "Mom, it'll be okay. God'll take care of this."
Mm.
And I looked at him, and I'm thinking to myself, "You poor stupid child." Isn't that sweet? That he really thinks all that, that, and and I pulled into my driveway, I go to my mailbox, and there's a check in my mailbox for $14,000 from the IRS that my, uh, CPA knew what I had been going through, and he's a believer too. He's actually a former Baptist preacher,
Mm,
and, he had gone back 3 years in my tax returns and taken care of all the things that had changed over the 3 years and been able to get me money back.
wow.
And, I mean, but that's just one thing. Like, it just stuff like that happened, like, almost daily. It was just crazy. So, what could have been, like, the biggest tragedy in the world, and what was a huge tragedy for so many people,
Yeah.
turned out to be not only a great blessing for me, but
Mm,
my kids now,
mm,
their faith is just so strong. They're human. They make mistakes. They do stupid things like every other, 20-something-year-old kids do, like all of us do. Um, but their faith is so strong, and, they know that no matter what, Jesus will come through for them.
mm,
Every time, not just sometimes,
mm.
every time. Sometimes it's not what they want, but it
Yeah.
comes through every time. And then what it did for me is once I graduated seminary, I knew that I was not gonna be a minister. I knew that was not my thing, and I loved the real estate business so much. I didn't
Mm,
know what I was gonna do, but actually Larry Goins, the guy who gave me half his business, asked me to come back and work with him again
mm,
because he was at now wholesaling properties. So I actually went back and started working with him
mm,
and started doing that hard money stuff again.
mm,
And within a year, it exploded. But the difference now is every conversation I'd have with every borrower, I got to share my story. I got
mhm,
to it was just it was a ministry that happened to lend money. It
mm,
was it was just a totally different situation. Now God
mm.
is the CEO of the company.
Mm.
He just lets me work there. He
Yeah.
allows me to be a steward of what he's put in place. And now I brought my brother on to work with me in 2012, I believe, because it was so busy. I couldn't, I couldn't handle it all myself. And now we have two funds that we manage. We have self storage facilities. We do. We personally have some short term rentals, mid-term rentals, um, and invest in gas and oil, and do all kinds of different stuff. But our office is we have 14 people here,
Mm.
and when I hire people and interview them, I tell them they don't have to be believers to work here, but they're going to hear about Jesus every day, and they do.
Mm.
We do a Bible study here in our office, and we had, let's see, yesterday we had 7 people that came for the Bible study. We do it every Wednesday morning. The relationships that we have with each other because of that is it's a way different setting than what you would expect in a normal office setting, and
Mhm.
I just love it. We really care about each other, about our
Right.
families, our clients. Um, they know where we stand.
Mm.
They know who we belong to. And what's really cool, and this is where I like to encourage other business owners as well. If you stay strong in who you are in every conversation that you have
Mm.
with your clients, you're going to attract other believers as clients, as
Mm.
borrowers, as lenders. You're going to attract, even as colleagues, other people that you're in business with, other people that do the same kind of business that you do. You're going to attract other believers, and you're going to repel non believers, people who aren't interested in your message,
Mm.
people who aren't interested in the gospel. You're going to repel them. Fine. Let's knock the dust off our shoes and keep going.
Yeah.
This is it's an opportunity. That's why it's one of the things I love so much about the Sunrisers group. We have 2 Hindus and a Jewish person that comes regularly
Mm.
every Friday that listen to that devotional every Friday.
Mhm.
I was so excited. In fact, on Good Friday, because I can see everybody's little pictures, when we're
Yeah.
talking on Zoom. I was watching the Hindu guy, one of the Hindu guys, good friend of mine, great heart. This is just a great guy. And he's walking around his house holding on to his computer while Tom's doing his devotional.
Mm.
So I can see his wife walk behind him in the background. I can see him, he's hands something to one of his kids. So who else is hearing that message? His
Right.
whole
Right.
family is
Right.
getting to hear that message. And I was like, I was texting everybody that I knew was on there too, going, look, that his whole family's getting to hear this message. This is so cool. So
Yeah.
it's really, it's it's just such a wonderful opportunity to have a platform to just spread the gospel,
Mm.
to have the
Yeah.
opportunity to speak Jesus with everybody and anybody,
Yeah. Yeah.
and not be afraid, not be worried, not be concerned that somebody's going to come in and say that, you know, you're against regulation, or we don't have that kind of talk here. And my husband um, was working for Ross Distribution Center. The Ross stores. He was a
Yeah.
mechanic in the distribution center, and they promote the LBGQPLC, what all that stuff, transgender stuff. They even tried to get him to wear a bracelet, a pink bracelet, accepting, with rainbows on it, accepting all of that, and
Mhm.
he refused to do it, and they asked him to leave.
Mm. Wow.
So that shows you the difference of, you know, where business can lead to in
Yeah.
either direction. But I believe revival's coming through the businesses.
Mm.
And we as entrepreneurs, no matter how big we are, if we're a one-person show or a 50-person show, you have the ability to make sure that God is your CEO,
Mm.
and you start by going to him in prayer on every single decision. I can tell you,
Yeah.
we make decisions all the time that are not necessarily the best business decision, but it's the
Mhm.
right thing.
Mm. Mhm.
And it always turns out right.
Yeah. Well, that's super inspiring. You just said a ton of inspiring things in there. There's like I don't know which one to jump off on. But I was thinking about as I told you before we started recording, I've been in ministry my whole life, and the real estate was sort of this thing on the side. And one of the things, because I was like a full-time pastor and in ministry, just always interacting with Christians, I thought, when I'm real estate, I'm going to have a chance to interact with non-believers, and that definitely happens, right? But it was amazing when I was looking for contractors or hiring, property managers or hiring working with realtors. I just kept finding Christians to work with,
Mm.
and because you were talking about, you just kind of attract, those kind of people. So I wasn't like I'm only going to work with Christians. I don't like not. I actually my intent was, well, I'll be able to be a light of Christ in this
Right.
area. But the reality is that you start to find either I would say either like us, either Christians or like the Bible talks about people of peace, right? People who
Mm.
are friendly and open, receptive. So they Jewish or Muslim, but they're willing to listen and they're open to it. And if they don't want anything to do with it, then like you said, they're going to kind of just walk away from us, and that's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really it's so fulfilling to know and to feel like you're really making a difference,
Hmm.
that you're really allowing God to use you in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm so far from, that perfect picture I would love to be. Um, but what it does when you put yourself out there and you're transparent and you're a company that's transparent and
Hmm.
you're a person that's transparent, it's kind of like driving down the road with a bumper sticker, talking about how much you love Jesus on the bumper sticker. And it's hard to flip somebody off that pulls out in front of you, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's it keeps you so much more accountable, and it makes it easier. Like, it's what a great way to create a habit in yourself,
Hmm.
knowing that you're exposed.
Yeah.
People are seeing what you're doing. What a great way to create a habit for yourself, because you've
Yeah.
got that in the back of your mind in everything that you do.
Yeah. So good. Okay, I want to go back to first of all, seminary. So you maybe this came out later because you said you knew you weren't going to do ministry. So why? I mean, everything fell apart. Why did you decide to go to seminary? Like, why was that the direction that you
I
pursued?
knew that I just wanted to know him more. I wanted
Mm.
to here's and I'm glad you asked this story. Here's what was in my head and in my heart, is I just wanted to crawl in up into his lap in a
Mm.
cave, lick my wounds, and just be protected. I just wanted to lay in his arms and be protected,
Yeah.
because I was so lost. I realized how totally lost I was, how fooled I was,
Mm.
how how thin that gray line is, and how I was allowing it to move,
Mm.
you know? And I knew that the only way to do that was to just immerse myself in him. I just wanted to know him. I wanted to know more about what was in that Bible. I wanted to know what everything meant, who was writing what and why they were writing it. And, I wanted to know all the history, everything. And that's what I did is I learned all of that. And, um, and I liked dealing in real estate. I liked the lending part. I liked all that. So I actually specialized in international studies, but I also took a lot of classes on fundraising and that kind of thing. And I really thought that that's the direction I would go in is in fundraising. That's kind of what I expected about halfway through. So
Yeah.
right before I graduated, I'm sitting in the library of our school, and I told you I started Sunrisers from a table of people that was in another group, and one of the guys that was in that table, good friend of mine, good Christian brother, and he now actually has a church in Harlingen, Texas. He also was the counselor for my husband and I when we got married. He was our marital guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
so so I've been very close to him, and I had not talked to him in about 12 months at that time. He didn't know where my school was. It's a pretty decent sized school. I'm sitting in the library and I look up and I see him standing in the doorway and he waves at me and he walks over to me. He says, "I've been looking for you." I said, "Oh my gosh." First of all, how'd you know I was here? And gosh, it's good to see you. He said, "I've got a message for you from God and I knew I had to bring it to you." I was like, "Oh no, what's he going to say?" And he said, he told me to tell you it's time for you to come out of your cave.
Mm.
And I was like, whoa, because I didn't tell anybody that that's how I felt. Like I felt like I was
Yeah.
crawling into a cave onto God's lap, just sitting there being cuddled,
Mm. Mm.
I didn't tell anybody that, but
Yeah.
that's how I felt. And when he walked in and said that, I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, let's see what you have. So that's really what I thought. Whatever you put in front of me, God, I'll do. And the first thing he put in front of me was my former business partner coming up and saying, "Hey, come and work with me."
Wow.
So I just went down that path. And I can tell you for the first, I'd say, year and a half to 2 years, um, I felt as if I was on a slow moving river in an inner tube, just floating and going in whatever direction the current was taking me.
Mm.
And it was an absolute joy and pleasure.
Mm.
And I miss that because I don't have that feeling. Sometimes I get that feeling, but I don't have that feeling like I did then. And I
Yeah.
almost feel like um, from going through that experience, him healing me and putting me back on the right track and allowing him to guide me. I felt like he was at a point where, okay, it's time to go out of your nest. I'm going to let you fly, and you know, I let's get to a new relationship,
Mhm.
a different level of relationship, and that's what I feel like has been
Mm.
happening. Is it's just been getting deeper and more grown up, I guess, is a way I can refer to that.
Yeah.
Um, as my not only book knowledge has gotten better because that's what we really worked on in seminary was the book
Mhm.
knowledge,
Yeah.
but my relationship
Mm.
knowledge is better
Yeah.
and continues to get better. I mean, there are days where I don't feel like I'm moving forward, or that I'm certainly not doing what I expected to do that day, or I'll go a day where I didn't read this morning. I didn't
Mm.
have my communion with you this morning, and I'll feel it. It's not like it's just something you skip and move on. Like it bothers me,
Mm.
when
Mhm.
I don't do that. I'm so glad that I feel that way.
Yeah.
That I'll even go, okay, it's catch up time. Sorry, let's get to it. It's it's just a different stage of a relationship. And I think it's, um, uh, it's always constantly growing, always constantly growing. And isn't it cool? I mean, don't you meet some people that you see their spirit and what they have with the Lord, and you think, man, I want that. That's
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that's you're always striving to grow it. And
Yeah.
and I wonder when I'll feel like I'm there. And I hope it's when I'm standing in front of him, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I want you to expound a little more. You said something that caught my attention. You said you really felt like revival was coming through the businesses. Tell
Yes.
me a little bit more about like what are you seeing and why do you get that sense?
Well, again, I'm not dogging churches. Please don't think I'm dogging churches, but so many churches these days are dropping the ball and
Mm,
have dropped the ball, in the last 50, 60 years. I mean, we don't have prayer in school anymore. People are living off the government. Because the churches haven't been able to step up and do what they need to do. They're
right.
and they're how many churches have you been in where you've had to put earplugs in to listen to the praise and worship music, and it's all about the show going on. I love the music. I love it. I love it. I'm into it. Um, but sometimes that's the only thing attracting people in, or they're building these big, gorgeous buildings with cool fountains and all kinds of stuff. Gosh, how many wells could that dig? You know, where our churches are not as focused as they should be. It's
Yeah.
hard to find a good church that really is. That's
Mhm.
really focused on what they should be, which is their relationship with Christ and
Yes.
what how are we being the hands and feet? So 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 I believe that there are a lot of business owners who are truly followers in hot pursuit of Jesus, who want to make God their CEO and
Mm,
allow themselves to be used to really make a change in the world. You know,
mm,
business owners are the ones who are going to have the money to be able to do what we need to do. Not God.
mm.
God didn't need our money. He doesn't need us. He doesn't.
Right.
But giving us the opportunity to to build the kingdom, to change other people's lives, to make sure that the bottom line is to get the word of God to every nation, every
Mm,
tongue, every tribe.
mm,
Get it out there.
yeah.
People deserve the opportunity to hear the word.
Mm,
And I just believe that we're going to see a lot of that start to happen. I think we're going to see a lot more big businesses go down that path. I mean, look at
mm.
Hobby Lobby. Have you read the book by David Green,
I
who's the
haven't.
CEO of Hobby Lobby? I
No, I haven't.
highly recommend that book. It's called Giving It All Away Just to Get It Back Again.
Mm, we'll write
It
that
is
down.
a really good book. But to see what he's been able to do, or what God's been able to do through him, of course,
Yeah.
um, it's just amazing to see how he's being used and how he's guarding his company to make sure that when he's no longer the CEO and his kids are taking it over, that they're gonna continue it down that same path, not get on mission
Mm,
drift,
mhm,
where you start
mhm.
out going this way and then other people get involved and it switches to where they're just not going down the path that it was intended.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I really believe that, as business owners, we need to step up and do what's asked of us, and that's to get the gospel across the world.
Hi, Owen Cooper here with Rock Solid Investments. Sorry to interrupt this amazing conversation that's going on, but I did want to mention that if you are interested in investing with my company, or even just curious about it, please go to my website, rocksolidinvestments.com, ROC solidinvestments.com. You can sign up for newsletters. You can book a time to talk with me, and we can talk more about what that investing journey would look like for you. So glad you're part of this podcast. And now let's get back to the conversation.
Yeah. Well, that's so good. So I feel like you've conquered this. Maybe you feel differently, but I've just heard it in your talk time and time again. But I know many people wrestle with this, and I have wrestled with it too. This struggle between, following Jesus wholeheartedly and, serving money, right? So people think, oh, business, the whole point of business is to make money. That's terrible. You either can serve God, you can serve money, you got to choose, right? Jesus said you can't serve both God and mammon, right? So how have you reconciled that? And because it sounds like you have beautifully, but I know that that's a struggle for a lot of people.
Well, it's still a struggle for me every day. And, I'm a lender. Gosh, what are all the proverbs out there about lending and
Yeah.
borrowing? Right?
Right.
I had to really learn to deal with that. But one of the things I think is really important for us to remember is, of course, the story of the talents is another one.
Mhm.
With the gifts that we're given, he does not want to see us bury them.
Yeah.
He wants us to use them. So how do you use that? You think about the other story where um, he talks about being shrewd. You've got to be shrewd, not evil,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
you need to be shrewd with managing the funds, managing a business, managing whatever you. Proverbs 31 woman, she's not sitting around baking cakes. She's out doing business, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so so he wants us to use the gifts that he's given us to prosper, not just us, but
Mm-hmm.
everybody that we touch, everybody
Mm-hmm.
that he touches through us. So when we're making decisions, and it is a constant battle, you want to make, number one, always the right decision. What's
Mm-hmm.
fair, what's right. Shrewd doesn't mean taking advantage of. It means being smart with.
Yeah.
It means using, because if you allow, and I explain this to a lot of people, if you allow other people to walk all over you and you just give out money blindly and don't do your due diligence on how you're doing that, then you're out of money. How can you be used if you're out of money?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And
you're
you
you're
also didn't help. You didn't help those people anyway. You
that's
actually
exactly
enabled them.
right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. So you have to um, you have to do things um, correctly, legally, in the
Mm-hmm.
right way, and what's the best win-win for everybody involved. That's the thing that I love so much about real estate investing,
Mm-hmm.
because when you're searching for a property, you've got somebody that's going into foreclosure. People say, "Oh, don't you feel bad buying their house from them? They're going into foreclosure, blah blah blah." Well, aren't you doing them a favor by getting them out of foreclosure so they don't have to go through foreclosure? You're
Right.
solving a terrible problem for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, don't you feel bad about making that profit? You shouldn't feel bad about making that profit, because that profit allows you to go and do that for the next guy and the next guy and the
Mm-hmm.
next guy. And then what are you doing with the profit? Are you just going out and, buying expensive steak and a really shiny new object? Or are you investing it back into the kingdom?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's there's
Mm.
there's it's not just one thing you're doing. It's a multitude of actions that come out of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Wow.
where's the
Thank you
fruit?
for elaborating on that, because that's just really helpful. And again, I know a struggle for people, but you articulated that really well, and
Thank you.
that's one of my prayers in every podcast. So there's going to be nuggets for people to hold on to and grab a hold of, and we've already had a ton of them. So I really appreciate that. Can maybe just if you've shared so many stories how God has just showed up in these like really tough times and how you managed to, God got you through these really difficult things. Do you have maybe like a recent, it doesn't have to be a big one, but just a story of how God kind of showed up in your real estate business?
It's like daily.
That's
Um,
awesome.
well, I mean, it happens. It happens all the time. Especially as a lender, I've got. We get people who don't pay. We have to take them into. We do everything we can to bring them across the finish line.
Yeah.
Helping them. We are transparent to them constantly, and we love when they're transparent back to us, so we can help them through it.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that in every time that we've gotten to the point where, whatever for whatever reason it is that somebody can't pay, God always opens up an opportunity for me to minister to the person that's in that position and help them make godly decisions with what they're doing,
Yeah.
whether it's with their family or coworkers that they're working with. We can talk about um, what it is that they could have done differently and how they'll change it for the next thing. I do this other thing too called Wednesdays with Wendy. Actually, I'm getting ready to change it to the real estate therapist because really that's what it is. That's what it is. But it's easy for me to stroke a check to give money away. It's easy for me to do that. Well, it's as easy as it is for anybody else. But I'm so much, easy to do that. What's hard for me is to give my time because I'm so busy. There's so many things that I'm involved in, and everybody's coming up. Hey, can I take you out for a cup of coffee? Let's have lunch. I want to pick your brain, and I want to help everybody because that's how I got where I am. Everybody helped me,
Yeah.
and I want to give back that way. So I'd never get any work done though if I, went and had coffee and lunch and all these other things helping people. So I've set aside on Wednesdays 5 30-minute slots for free coaching is basically it.
Wow.
So people can sign up. I'm booked about 2 months out. Um, and people get to book it between like 10 o'clock till 12:30. I think those are my 5 time slots that I do that. But in those meetings, I'll have people that are calling me. I had one guy who is a mortgage broker that wanted to learn more about syndications. And, I didn't know if he was a believer or not. I met him at a real estate event. And when we started talking, it switched over to a completely different situation that he's going in. It had nothing to do with syndications. He's starting off a new partnership with someone that doesn't have the same values as him. And he's pretty far down the road in getting this partnership put together. And I was able to talk with him more about really what his belief system is based on. And he's kind of a new-ish believer.
Yeah.
Um, and we were able to pray about that. And by the end of the meeting, which had nothing to do with syndications, he was getting ready to dissolve the partnership that he had with this guy,
Wow.
which would have, I think, changed the direct trajectory of his life. Because when you get into business with somebody that doesn't have the same values that you have, is it going to be blessed? Is that business going to be blessed? I have another friend who had a partnership with somebody who was an openly gay male, but he was really, really good. And when he was telling me about, yeah, I just he started this, and it's a management company actually.
Mm,
And when he started this he said, but he's really, really good. I don't have to do anything. And I said, yeah, I get that, but you know, it's a it's not a good matchup. You're not equally yoked. and
mm, mm,
and turns out about a year and a half later, he ended up having to dissolve it, um, because of things that had happened because of this guy's behavior
mm,
that
mhm,
uh, involved children.
mm,
So it's uh it's just it it's just amazing how through these Wednesday calls that um, God just speaks. I just happen to be a conduit,
yeah,
but he really speaks through that, and I feel so blessed that he allows me to do that every week.
that's really cool. That's a beautiful idea too, and I just I wrote that down when you're talking about put that in my little nuggets for use down the road. That's a beautiful thing to do. So there are some people who will be listening to this podcast who, there's a lot of times we're in different journeys in real estate. You and I both kind of just fell into it, but some people like consider it for a while before doing it. So if it's somebody like that, they're considering investing in real estate, but they haven't really started yet. What would you say to them?
Learn. That's
Mm,
the key. Is get on Facebook groups. Join your local real estate investor association. It's the cheapest education you'll ever get.
yeah.
Um, don't buy product.
Mhm,
Just listen for a while. Give it 6 months of hardcore listening before you buy anything, because there's going to be a bazillion shiny objects to choose from in this
yeah,
business. But you need to learn, you need to see what trips your trigger, you need to see what works for where you are in your life now.
mm,
Don't quit your day job. Because it depends on what it is you're looking for too. Do you have small kids that you're trying to save up for college? Do you have kids that have already moved out and you're getting ready to retire? Everybody's at a different stage in their life. So,
mm,
what would be the best choice for them to be in real estate would be is different than each other. It's
yeah,
got to fit your lifestyle, what you're looking to do. And
mm.
if it were all like Home and Garden TV, everybody would be doing it,
Yeah,
right?
that's so true. I can't quote the statistic, but I know it's well over half of the rehab projects that get started lose money, and they take more than half an hour, and they don't quite look as cool as as the
That
home
is for
flipping.
sure.
So but it's exciting and it looks cool, so people like to get into it. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a really good. I'm glad you mentioned that. These are things I'm working on, and you're just confirming for me that services I'm trying to provide. So I'm working on starting educational community where there's places for people to ask spaces and whatnot. And now I do want to create some sort of like coaching avenues. I don't have it as structured as you do, but also like if people go to my website and book a call with me. I'd love to help get people through that and just navigate some of that. There's you. I mean, you had a coach too. Well, is like your business partner, someone
Yeah.
who has that experience
Oh,
to
yeah.
to kind of walk you through things makes a huge difference.
Yeah. I learned a whole lot of what I learned by going to every real estate investor association meeting in North and South Carolina every month.
Wow.
That's all I would do is travel to each one because I was doing loans. So that's how I would
Yeah.
pick up my business. And when I would go to those, I could listen to all the speakers.
Yeah.
And I listened, but I didn't buy anything. And let me tell you, they're good at selling.
Yeah.
Have good discernment. Don't buy anything
Yeah. Yeah.
because everything you want to learn, you can learn for free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, once
There's a lot
you're
of
in
good
it,
resources out there.
yeah, and once you're in the business and you already have a business set up, that's when you need a coach. That's when you need to be spending money on products that'll help you, CRMs and um, anything that can help you do your business better. That's when you need to
Right.
do it. After
Right.
you're already up and running and you know what you want to do.
Yeah.
Don't do
Create,
that. Don't buy anything until after you're already established.
yeah. Create the income first,
Exactly.
and then grow. Right. Yeah. That's really good. That's talk about nuggets. That's another really good one too. So you've talked about. Well, I think I'm going to ask this again because I think some recap. I feel like your whole story has been this, but what are some benefits that you've seen in your life of having, having real estate be a part of it?
Um, I can't imagine doing anything else. I'm kind of a sick version of a real estate agent. I did some mission work in Africa, and I'm looking at those huts going, "Oh, I wonder what they're worth. I wonder if I could rehab that." It's it's just it's a something I'm passionate about,
Yeah,
and I can't believe that I get to do this every day.
that's so
It's
cool.
such a joy. I just can't believe I get to do it every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you mentioned a lot of different ways that you invest. Um, so tell me like your favorite investing strategy, or one of them.
Okay. So for me, my favorite investment strategy is lending.
Yeah,
It's just, I love I call it the best seat at the table
yeah,
because as a lender, I get to see what the buyer does, how they find properties, how they're going to fix it up. I get to see what the rehabber does. I get to see what the contractors do. I get to see what the attorney does.
mm-hmm.
And then I get to see what happens on the end too when they turn around and sell it. And
Yeah,
to me, seeing how you can put a deal together, whether you're going to use seller financing, where you're going to get the down payments from, is it is it something that you can do a lease option on? Is it something that could be subject to? I like to see the architect of the deal,
um,
how you can just bring tools from a tool belt that has
yeah,
several different tools in it, how you can just take pieces of that puzzle, put it together, and make a deal work. To
yeah,
me,
yeah,
that's so much fun.
yeah. That's so cool. So Wendy, you talked about like your time and all these people requesting, and we had not even met in person, and I just put this request for this podcast, and you willingly and graciously did it. So I want to thank you for that.
Oh, you're quite
And
welcome.
I do, pray that will actually your impact will multiply to beyond as my community continues to grow. Hopefully that will grow as well. So thank you for your time, and thank you for just all that you had to share. I think I just wanted to close this one thing because we're having technical difficulties. I just want to
Yes.
give glory to God because our video wasn't working, and so we're kind of a little delayed in time than we thought we wanted to be. But we got back on, and before we started, I just prayed and gave it to God and said, God, can you just make this work smoothly? And ever since then, it's been going smoothly. So that's the last nugget of wisdom I have for everybody listening: is pray first. Don't wait for a problem to happen
That's
to start
right.
praying. And that's really good. But this has been so good, Wendy, and I really do hope we'll get to talk again. And thank you for your time. And yeah, just praise God. I'm so
Well,
glad this
thank
could happen.
you. I really have enjoyed this, and I can't wait to see it grow and see how you do here as well. So, and I'll be happy to come back anytime. Thank you for asking me.
I'm gonna remember that. So thank you. Thanks, Wendy. We'll talk again.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us with another episode of Faith Filled Investing.